Good morning. 2020, Form 4562. Depreciation and amortization. 11. How do you determine the recovery period for depreciation? How do you calculate the life expectancy of your assets? What is the property recovery period? What is the recovery period for depreciation? The recovery period goes on in column D. If you are using general depreciation system, which is the regular depreciation, it'll go in column D, line 19, for the right property class that your asset belong to. So the recovery period is the number of years you choose to recover the cost, the full cost of your asset, or the basis that you choose as the basis for depreciation. So the number of years that you are going to recover the cost or the basis of the asset is called recovery period. First, you need to know the property class life your assets belong to determine the recovery period. And the property class is in column A of section B. A lot of time, for office related assets, it will be between 5 and 7 years. But depending of your business is good, either way you need to find the property class your asset belongs to locate the recovery period, the number of years you need to depreciate the asset if you are not expensing the full cost by using section 179, for instance. You have the instructions to form 4562, and the current version there, the latest version, is still 2019, even though we are working on 2020 form 4562. So you will go to page 30. Let's see here. Let's try page 8. On page 8, I will say page 9, they have the recovery period here on page 9. Now, in fact, this one is for Indian reservation property. So let's go back up a little bit. Okay, so it's still on page 9, but please look at the right one, because they have one for Indian reservation properties and then they have one for any other assets. So you are looking for recovery period for most property, and a lot of time the recovery period will match the classification. So you first locate the classification your asset belong to find the recovery period. And if your assets, you couldn't locate the classification or the property class for your assets, you might use appendix B of publication 946. But how do you find which property class your assets belong to? There is, I like to use the publication, but you can use the instruction. So you have a list on page 8 of the instructions for Form 4562 and classification of property. So the short, so that's the list here. You have 3-year property, 5-year, you'll have 7-year, 10 years. We have it on the form, and we can just take a look at 5-year property. A lot of time 5-year property will be computers and its peripheral equipments, and you'll have cars, passenger vehicles, and 70. In fact, if you have a rental properties, you'll have carpet. Let's see, this shouldn't be in the 5 years. Let's see here. Yes, appliances, carpet, furnitures used in a rental real estate activities. So they are 5-year property. They are in 5-year property class as well. And a 70-year property, you'll have office furnitures and equipment. So that will be like office desk, office chair, and fixtures. And if you cannot locate your business, your assets here in the list classification, you can look in appendix. Also keep in mind that any property that does not have a class life and is not otherwise classified could be in 7-year property as well. But you can look at publication 946 latest version and appendix B. You will have on page 32, you will have the recovery, the property class, and the recovery period as well. And you'll notice that residential rental property is 27.5 years of recovery period, and those should be in the form already. Non-residential real property are 39 years. But if you don't know for sure where your assets are classified in the property class, appendix B is at the end of the table. Is at the end of publication 946, well toward the end. On page 98. And you have this is table 2. Let's go up a little bit. Yes. So appendix B, table of class lives and recovery periods. So you have table B1 and table B2. But yes, you can come down to table B1 to see if you'll find the assets described, and you'll look for, that'll be the assets class. You'll find the assets and you'll look in the right column, recovery periods, under GDS marks, and that will be the recovery period. So for office furniture, features and equipment, recovery period is 7 years. And for information system, including computers, peripheral equipment for computers, is 5 years. The class life is 6, but the recovery period is 5. For the office furniture, the class life is 10, but the recovery period is 7. So if we go back to the Form 45-CC2, you'll notice that let's go to the instructions here on 9. The classification of property, you have 3, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then you have the real estate. So if your office furniture, it has class life of 10 but recovery period of 7, when you come to Form 45-CC2, you're not going to use 10-year property class for your office furniture. Is going to be 7. So you'll notice that the property class match the recovery period. So when you find the recovery period, if you don't find it in the in the list, the classification and recovery period list, you use the publication appendix. You use the publication and you use the appendix B to find the asset. We will talk about the table B1 and table B2, table of class lives and recovery period, in another video, but use the recovery period year to place your assets on the right line. So if that's information system, that's a computer, the recovery period is 5. On Form 45-CC2, you use the row 19B, 5-year property. That's where you'll put it, and the recovery will be 5. If that's enough office furniture and you didn't know that it was a 7-year property, even though they have a description on top that you could read, and you go to appendix B and you see office furniture, fixtures and equipment, and you know that your asset is here, the recovery period is 7. You are not going to put it in 10-year property class, so you'll put it in 7-year property class. So wherever your asset is, that has the 7-year property recovery period and is in the asset class 0011, it will go on 19C and the recovery period is 7. So a lot of time the asset classification and the recovery period, they matches for 3, 5, 7 years. So it's good when you look at the recovery period in the appendix B, table 1. In appendix B, table B1, you will match that to the classification of property you have on Form 45-CC2. There is a way to use this appendix B. It goes with table B1 goes with table B2. We'll talk about that in another video. So once you determine the recovery period, you'll put it in column D of section B, asset placed in service during 2020, that's year, part 3 of Form 4562. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all that watch our videos, and thank you all that subscribe to our channel. We thank you very much for your comments. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Thank you for reading our blog articles. We have category page, how to depreciate a business asset, where we have all the articles related to Form 4562, and we have a video playlist as well, 2020 Form 4562, that has all the videos related to Form 4562. I'm Afiavi Ojune Liberman, creators of Liberman Consulting L.L.C YouTube channel, Liberman Consulting L.L.C podcast, and ninasoup.com, our blog. We do have online stores, including liberdownload.com for digital products, liberoutlets.com for resale products, liberlabel.com for custom apparels, and ninasoup.com for natural products. Thank you.